What's up, y'all? I'm Joseph Sid, and thank you for tapping into the first episode of In the Mix with Sid. Today, we got a special guest, a good friend of mine, Phalynn. Some of y'all may know her as Phalynn Berry, and we're going to talk about love, relationships, and most importantly, the one that we all skip, therapy. With that being said, thank you again for tapping in. This is a one-time thing just because of my first episode, and I really want to say thank you guys for all tapping in. But I know you guys are done with me ranting and it's getting annoying, so let's head to the studio. Let's go. Man, first of all,
it's been a minute.
but it's so great to have you. So great to see you,
yes,
sis.
I'm
so
glad
great
to be
see
here.
you. But let's shout out our team, everybody
Shout out
that
to
worked.
everybody
Look,
working behind the cameras.
they made the studio look like we're at home. We got a couch, we comfy, we got some wine.
Listen,
before we get into the topic, though,
shout
out to all the ladies because we are talking some love, relationships, and therapy. Shout out to all the ladies.
Shout out
out
to
there.
all the men, men,
and those that identify wherever they want to identify. We love you.
Our non-binary peoples.
Most importantly, shout out to you, sis.
Shout out to you.
Shit, cheers. That's some tough wine.
Oh, it's smooth though.
I love me a red blend though. I love me a red blend. But let's jump right into it.
Yes.
Some love.
Love.
What's the opinion on today's love? Give me something that you could tell the youth growing up. I mean, I know we still young. We're still young. But we're still learning, and you die still learning.
Yes.
But what can you tell the youth and those in between and those getting older about some love? What this generation got going on?
Well,
I have opinions.
I know you do. That's why we're here.
Queens, go first.
Oh, okay. Well, thank you for my crown. I would say that the youth with love today, I think that there is a lot of lack of understanding of one another. So I feel like maybe there is not enough love of self. And there's a lot of lack of love for others. Even in the dating aspect, it's like, do you have love for the person that you're actually dating, or do you just want to be with somebody because you don't want to be alone?
I was like, oh my God.
I'm just saying.
Because I was already thinking, what am I saying? Then you hit me with that. I'll say this. Look, I love this generation. I'm grateful to God that I'm part of this generation because it's a life-changing generation. We've made this world go the opposite way. But I'll say this. Concerning love, I do agree with you. A lot of people, like, you got to be vulnerable to love somebody. And a lot of people in this generation, I included back in the day until I had, like, my own little trauma and stuff that I went through. I was very protective of my heart, very protective of myself, no matter what.
Yeah,
you know,
as you should be. I
went through some deep relationships. Shout out all my peoples out there. But I say this, like, I learned from all of them.
Yeah.
And they all hold a special place in my heart, and there's no hatred here. It's all love. And I'll say this. You cannot love somebody without being vulnerable. When you're protective, you go to sleep at night, and when you wake up at 2 a.m, you feeling like you need to talk to somebody, and you can't talk to your partner, and you got secrets within yourself. That's not real love. No. You got to be vulnerable, shorty.
Yeah, you got to be vulnerable. You got to be vulnerable, and you got to love yourself. A lot of times, the things that we're doing, we want so much love from somebody else, or we want to give so much love to somebody else, and in hopes that they give it back in return. And sometimes it doesn't work that way. And so you can feel depleted because I know for me, I'm a person that I am very like, what do you need? Like, how can I help? Whether it's in relationships or even friendships.
Talk your shit.
And so I had to learn that, not everybody deserves for you to just constantly be pouring yourself out to every single person that's not replenishing you.
Phalynn.
Listen, I just like you can't pour from an empty cup. You can't pour from an empty cup.
And sometimes you do gotta fill your own cup.
Yeah, you do gotta fill your own cup first.
And this, I want to. From here, we could dive into the relationship aspect of things. You know, love does run the world, but you can't love without loving somebody else. Self-love is important, but you know what's even more beautiful when you could reciprocate that self-love onto somebody else. With that being said, I love this cup mixing. You can't pour into somebody else's cup without pouring onto yours first.
Exactly.
Let's make that clear.
Yeah.
You know, but once you're in a relationship, gentlemen, listen to me. Even if y'all drag me, bro. Like, listen to me. This is for my men. I can't speak for the women. I was raised in a household full of girls. Shout out my 2 sisters. Shout out my mother. Shout out my auntie. Shout out
yes.
my grandma that passed away 2 weeks ago. But I'll say this. With that being said, I can't speak for women, but I can speak for the men. And shout out my pops on this one because he taught me a lot. When it comes down to the game, the most important thing you could reciprocate for your girl, you know what that is, gentlemen? It's not going outside taking a bullet for your shorty. Yeah, that's any man's gonna do that. That's the bare minimum. You should be able to do that.
Child, you never know.
But you know what's important? When you come home and you show her some emotional intimacy.
Oh,
you know? That's
yes,
what she means by protection. But that's what she means by protection.
Yes.
She wants to come home after a hard day and have somebody to talk to. And even though you sit down and I'm gonna keep it real, you do not care about like Miss Christina at work or Miss Becky that did her dirty. You there like, I don't know why you care about Miss Becky. Shorty, look at her fine. You look coming home. Matter of fact, tell me more. I'm gonna sit right there. Tell me more. I'm
dancing on my last nerve.
I'm gonna sip on my wine and I'm gonna enjoy. But no, fellas, you want to sit there and listen to your shorty talk to you. Just take a listen, bro, and give her some advice. Be like, baby, look, that's the protection. That's the real protection.
Can you protect my feelings? If I come to you with my concerns or whatever emotions I'm going to, are you going to be protective of that? Are you going to be able to not only be an open ear to listen to me, but are you also going to, and my emotions going to be safe with you? Because at the end of the day, we want to be safe as well.
Let me ask you a question about that, because I love that you tap into it. Mm-hmm. See, as a man, I can say this, and I speak on behalf of all the gentlemen out there. We go through rough patches all the time.
Yeah.
And we do go through rough patches, like, trust me. And women are starting to recognize that. I see y'all on social media and all of that. So shout out all my guys out there. Shout out the ladies that recognize that. With that being said, what is your opinion on a woman taking care of her man when he's on an emotional spiral going downhill? Let's say a man that comes from a rough upbringing, you know, finally got some limelight, finally doing positive, but because of his inner circle, sometimes he dives back into the nonsense or anything like that, or vice versa, you know, like, to speak on anybody could go on a spiral. It doesn't matter where you, but what's your opinion on that? I'll repeat, your opinion on women taking care of their men when the time is needed. Because I feel like, from what I see on social media, and I apologize going around, I just see this all the time. Women are like, nah, man gotta hold it down. I'm with that. You know, I'm with that. Shit, we the caretakers. You absolutely right. But sometimes we need some loving too. You know, that's why my man Usher, shout out my man out there in Vegas, that's exactly why he made the song Trading Places.
Oh my God. Okay, Trading Places. Okay. Well, as far as men going on an emotional
shit, I ain't gonna lie, not to cut you off, but cheers to that.
I
was sweaty. I was going in.
You was going in. Listen, I could feel it. It was very personal. But I would say that even if your significant other is going through something like a spiral, I think that sometimes we expect our spouses or our significant other to be able to give us the therapy that we really need. And unfortunately, like, you can be there for your partner, but I know a lot of women can feel like they're doing all the emotional labor in the relationship. Like, I am not only trying to connect with you, or we're trying to live this life or build this life together, but because you might be afraid to talk to an actual professional about it, now I'm here to try to calm you down. And sometimes I might not have the best tools that can help you like therapy could. And so I think that, as a woman, you want to be there for your man, be an open ear, because if they actually are taking the chance to be vulnerable with you, don't shut it down. Don't say like, "Oh, I don't know why you're crying." Because I do see a lot of that on the internet, but the internet is only just a small portion of stuff. It can seem like it's the world, but in real life, like, all that stuff is played out because at the end of the day, we're both two human beings trying to like connect and grow, right? So not only do you need to be open as a woman, but there's only so much open you can do, because a lot of times we need professional help. And so when you're moving through these spaces, you're learning and you're growing, the woman can't just be the only thing that helps you out, because it can be emotionally draining, it can be taxing. And sometimes you want to give your man help, or you want to be that open space for him, and you don't know exactly what tools to give him yourself.
I love that. I don't know how many times I gotta say I love that. Look, I'll be the first person to say, I grew up in a tough household. Shout out my folks, but I grew up. What I mean by tough household doesn't mean like I grew up in a place where it was like turmoil was breaking through. But you know, everybody has childhood trauma, and that's something that you got to face. You know, and once you face it, let me tell y'all, it's the dopest thing you could do. And I speak that from experience. I don't want to tap into my personal experience, but I'll say I did recognize my childhood trauma, and it made me a better man. And it didn't make anybody around me worse than what they were. I just recognized my position in the trauma.
Yeah.
Now, with that being said,
we all have trauma, not just, you know.
And you can only do that with a professional, and that's a dope thing. But there's nothing that makes it weak, and some women think it's weak too.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's, you know, patriarchy affects all of us. It affects the women and the men. Like, men feel like, you know, I can't show emotion because that's how they're raised by society to be like, no, you're a man, you're not supposed to do this, you're supposed to, you know, just be stoic and not have any feelings. But the only feelings that you can express is anger, because that's cool to be expressing anger. But for women, you know, a lot of times we can say the toxic masculinity back to a man. We can be like, why are you crying? Why are you doing this? Like, a real man wouldn't do this. Like, but we have to leave the internet stuff for the internet. And if you really want to connect with somebody, you got to connect with the person next to you, not the internet stuff, because that's just for likes and comments.
Yeah,
and crazy,
like within emotion is power, because that means you tapped into yourself.
Yeah.
And when you tapped into yourself, you're undefeated. And when you undefeated within yourself, you're undefeated for your shorty. And when you're undefeated for your shorty's undefeated for the world, and vice versa.
Yeah.
And when y'all together, that's called a dynamic duo. And when a dynamic duo steps out into the world, guess what happens? You take over.
Yes, you do take over.
Boom.
Because both of y'all on the same wavelength, and y'all can, you know, move forward together.
Look, I'll say this as we wrap. Love is dope, and I'll let you throw in your this. I was usually we say 2 cents, but when it's fat and it's like 25 cents to $1 because I'm speaking on knowledge. We're
gonna give you the. But
I'll say this: love is dope. It's the dopest thing in the world. It's what makes the world go around. A man, why are men always beefing with each other? Because of women. Is it really a man's world when it's nothing without a woman? And that's the catalyst of everything? Because if you think about it, the most powerful being on this earth is the one that makes the baby, gives the baby. We have Mother Nature for a reason. And what's the most powerful element that's not humankind? Nature. Mother Nature.
Okay, Mother Nature.
So I'll say this. And there's the last thing I'll say, and then you go, and I'll just say my thank yous. Man, take care of your women.
Yeah.
Take care of your partners, because that's the coolest thing about life. Love is dope. Vulnerability is dope. Therapy is dope.
Yes.
We all seek love. You could be the most powerful person, but guess what you do at the end of the night? You seek companionship, because that's our nature, regardless of what you love and like. And we love all of y'all, you know. And I'll give it to you because, like I said, hey, look, like I said when we first started this segment, let the queens go first, and let the queens finish it off. Because us, we kick back, we got the knowledge, but we let the ladies do what they gotta do. Go talk your shit.
Well, I feel you on that. Love is very powerful. I think that, you know, in order to receive love, you first need to love yourself. So make sure, whether you're a woman or a man, to love yourself. And be open to what love has in store for you, because it could come in a different form or different packaging than you're used to. So ladies, be open-minded. Men, be open-minded. Non-binary, everybody be open-minded, because a lot of times we are trying to force a round peg in a square hole. And so when it comes to love, you're only going to live in, you're going to only have destruction when it comes to that. So it's like, love yourself and be open to love coming to you.
And I'll say this. I love that. And I love working with you.
I love working with you.
Even though this is episode 1, and like I said, I'll say thank you. Thank you so much to our team in the back.
Yes, shout out to the
team. Who put this beautiful studio together, made it look like home. We got lamps, we got TVs. We got wine.
And we got wine.
And this is wine mixed with bourbon. This is kind of scary, but we digging it. But I'll say this. Cheers to you.
Cheers to you.
Cheers to the ladies.
Cheers to the men.
And cheers to
all of them.
Everybody. We love all of y'all, like I said, to start this thing. Tune in. We got a lot more episodes. And more than likely, you guys are going to want me to work with her a lot more often. Shit, I'm just making an excuse to work with her. Peace and love, y'all. Y'all already know.